very advanced, very radical, very conscious. And he was sort of the youth leader for that group that we had, Youth for Social Change. Now, Ben Monroe was like the godfather of that organization. Ben Monroe just died in about a month ago. But Ben Monroe was one of the leaders of the unemployed movement in the late 60s. Unemployed Workers Council, that did give a lot of trouble in the late 60s. Ben Monroe went on to form a group called SWASACAS, Southwest St. Andrew Citizens Association, that was based on Cookhorn Lane of Spanish Town Road, which is actually in Whitfield Town, Kingston 13. But Ben had very strong links with guys like Neville, Berger, and other guys from Trenchtown. So he was involved in this Youth for Social Change. And these guys were guys who I grew up with in the community. And they sort of influenced me in working with that group. And the first project we did was something called Census on Poverty, which was a community-based, community-driven, community involved. I'd say it was like a precursor of what became action research. Yeah, and so in 1971, 72, right after the election. And the methodology of that research was to mobilize young people from the community, and we also mobilized high school students all around. And every Sunday, over like a 6-month period, we would go out into the various crevices of the community, West Kingston. Mark you, at this time, this was 1971, this was before Arnett Gardens was built and so forth. A lot of those housing schemes didn't exist, because what used to exist in Trenchtown above 7th Street was just what used to be called Ghost Town, vast shanty town. So we went into Ghost Town, we went as far as Delacree, Penn in the west, we went to Whitfield Town, all of the settlements, and we did a house-to-house survey, and we did a lot of data came out. Of course, it was a very rough methodology, but the good thing is that later on, I was able, along with some help from Carl Stone and a friend I had, Professor Claus Albuquerque, who was a friend of mine, was visiting. Albuquerque was at Virginia Polytechnic. He was a professor of sociology. We were able to actually salvage much of that data, and we were able to form the basis of writing this paper, which was published in Development, I think it was Journal of Development Studies. It came out about 1980, and that was title was Unplanned Urbanization in Developing Societies, the case of Jamaica, and I used, it was a very good study in terms of the background of urban development. Well, first of all, the discussion of the emergence and the status of these peri-urban shanties and the specifics on the socioeconomic conditions in Trenchtown, income levels, health, and all of those things.
When were you at UWI?
1969 to 1972.
So you were right in the aftermath of the Rodney.
Right, I went in right after Rodney. Well, before Rodney, when I was in high school, I graduated from high school at the time of the Rodney, and I was at that time still I was becoming radicalized, reading Abeng and those kind of things.
Did you actually ever come across Walter Rodney? Did you know him?
Never met him.
Were you aware
But
of his work in the...
aware of him before I came to university though, because I used to get abeng when I was in high school at St. George's, and I left. We used to read that abeng, and it was a source of awareness for many of us in that period. In communities like West Kingston and others, was very non-political. They used to have this slogan where they say, JLP, PNP, two-headed monster. Like they used to write this on the gully wall. You see that those slogans down in. So it was definitely a withdrawal thing. Influenced more by Rasta, although I think at that particular point in time, Rasta had lost some of its appeal. I think the appeal was probably in the earlier 60s, but I think the youth were kind of moving beyond Rasta. That was a period when it was the middle class youth now were becoming interested in Rasta. You know, you had your 12 tribe, JC boys going into 12 tribe and those things. But it was a non-political, definite hostility to both political parties. So the challenge that Michael Manley had when he won in 1972 was to change that. And I think he was very successful by 1974 to actually create that transition where young, unemployed, ghetto youth started to see him and started to see the PNP as a vehicle for change.
Right.
And that was largely because I think Michael Manley and himself went through a transformation during that period.
But you, just to back up, you were talking about Walter Rodney's involvement in those communities and how unusual it was?
Yes, because before Rodney, the kind of intellectual exposure that young people, I would have been to guys like Mortimer Planner. And Planner was one of those. He was one of the original Rastaman that went with Orlando Patterson on that mission that M.G. Smith and Norman Manley had organized to Ethiopia, and they came back with that and did that report, which was well documented. So Planner had a very strong stature among the young people, especially those who were Rasta oriented, and I think he influenced a lot, including people like Bob Marley, towards Rasta culture. But apart from that, even those who were not attracted to Rasta as such, he was a figure in the community. I remember Planner used to live on 5th Street, and he used to have, every week they had their gatherings there, and you would hear the drum from where I used to live on 6th Street. You would hear the drumming, and so whether you're a Rasta or not, you'll all go around to Planner, and it was just a spectacle and an experience, you know, to just take that in. So it was very influential, and let's say Rodney now kind of took that a step further, because he brought the analysis, he brought the intellectual at another level, you know, and I think this enabled a lot of young people to kind of make a transition and move, and alternative forms of resistance. Rasta is one, and then you had this kind of what I would call, you know, black nationalist, socialist consciousness. And I think Rodney laid the foundation for that.